Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here. We are back with another video as of today. This is going to be another sports betting video. This is going to be for Wednesday, January 19th slate of NBA games. I'm super excited to hop into it, but first, I did just want to go ahead and say, if you guys are new, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. You guys showed so much support yesterday, and we are literally a little over 300, I think, away from hitting that 2,000 subscriber mark. We do have a giveaway once we do hit that, so make sure you guys do sub. So first, let's go ahead and do a quick recap as of yesterday. My video plays did end up going 2-1. We had the Timberwolves -1 versus New York. They did end up cashing that. It was a very sweat bet. They ended up winning by 2, so if you took it at -3, I'm sorry, or even -4, I saw the line get up to. But Kemba Walker, he did get ruled into the game pretty late, which I do think played a little bit of an effect into it. Timberwolves came out pretty big at the beginning of the game, and then the Knicks fought back and were actually winning at one point. Luckily, the Timberwolves pulled it out and ended up winning by 2. Then we had Steph Curry under 6.5 assists versus Detroit. Absolute joke of a bet. He ends up with 7 in the first half. So, nothing we can do about that. He just was finding every open man, and they were knocking down their shots with ease. They were up by 30, I think, in the first half. So, there's just not much you can do with that. Then we had Karl-Anthony Towns under 9.5 assists, -140 odds. Easy cash. Easy cash. I saw some people comment that the line moved to 8.5. And apparently, if you took that at plus value, it still hit. He only ended up with 5. So very, very solid there. Now, I did have an added play on my Twitter, so make sure you guys are following me. But shout out to the YouTube comments. I did get this bet from them, but it turned out to be a fantastic one. We had Andrew Wiggins over 1.5 threes. I don't know why that line was so low, but over 1.5 threes versus the Detroit Pistons. Ends up cashing in the first minute of the second half. So very, very solid there. So we ended up going 3-1 on my plays yesterday. So technically we are on a 19-3-1 run right now. So we're on an absolute tear. Absolute tear recently. Hopefully we can keep it up. I found some plays that I really like. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First play of the day. This pains me. It pains me to do this. But we're taking the Cleveland Cavaliers -1 versus Chicago, -105 odds. It hurts. It hurts my heart to bet against my own team, but this line is way too low. Why are the Cavs only 1-point favorites versus the Chicago Bulls, who have a lot of injuries going on right now and can't really find a true identity? I could not tell you. Chicago is only covered in 1 of their last 4 games. Unfortunately, Zach LaVine did go down with an injury, so in their last 4 games, they've been very, very bad. The Cavs, on the other hand, they've covered in 3 of their last 4, so a very solid team in the last 4 games, covered in 3 of them, and they've played some pretty good opponents as well. The Cavs on the road have been an absolute wagon. They are 15-7-2 against the spread on the road, and if you look at the Bulls, like I said, they do have a lot of injuries going on. So you're looking at Zach LaVine is the main one. Zach LaVine's going to be out for the Chicago Bulls team. Then on top of that, Lonzo Ball is going to be out, another great 3-and-D player, and then Derrick Jones Jr. is going to be out, and I'll get to why that one is pretty big here in a minute. In the Bulls' last 2 games without Zach LaVine the last 3, they did keep it close against Boston, which Boston has been very inconsistent all year, kind of up and down. So the fact that they barely lost to Boston was actually pretty good. They truthfully, they should have won. They were up by 6 with 1.5 minutes and blew it. So, like I always say in sports betting, it ain't over till it's over. But in the other 2 games that they lost by 26 to Brooklyn and by 42 to Golden State Warriors. So against 2 solid teams, they got absolutely smoked. So I think the Cavs are a very solid team this year. And I just think it's a terrible matchup for the Chicago Bulls, who they don't have a whole lot of big men. That is one instance that they truly lack in, especially coming from the biggest Bulls fan ever. They lack in interior defense in general. The only big guy that we have is Tony Bradley, and he's not going to do anything against Jared Allen. So you're looking at Derrick Jones Jr., who is a versatile wing, and he can definitely play some defense, especially against a guy like Evan Mobley. I think he would match up pretty okay against Evan Mobley. But then they also have Lauri Markkanen. So you're looking at, like, I don't even know who we're going to run out there at the power forward position. It's just going to be a mess. And Vucevic, I love Vucevic. I think he's a fantastic player. But against 3 7-footers, we're just not going to be able to play defense on them. So that is our first play of the day. Cavs -1 versus Chicago, -105 odds. Our next play of the day is going to be Jaylen Brown, a guy I haven't really bet on a whole lot this year, over 24.5 points versus the Charlotte Hornets -115 odds. The Charlotte Hornets give up the second most points per game to opposing shooting guards, and the Celtics, they play a very big lineup with Jaylen Brown at the 2, Tatum at the 3, and then, they do play 2 bigs as well. The last 2 games versus Charlotte, Jaylen Brown has cashed this, and pretty handedly, actually. He's really done a number on Charlotte in the last 2 games. Charlotte also has the second worst defense in the entire NBA, so that does give us an advantage as well. And I guess, we will clear it out with all of the 2 statistics here. The Charlotte Hornets do also play at the second fastest pace, which does give a possession advantage to a team like Boston, just because they're going to get some extra possessions, be able to get up some extra shots. So I think a lot of those shots are going to go to Jaylen Brown, who's going to have Terry Rozier on him. I just don't think Terry Rozier is going to be able to hang with Jaylen Brown. I think he has a very big night tonight. So that is our second play of the day. Jaylen Brown over 24.5 points versus Charlotte -115 odds. Our next play of the day is going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of my favorite young players in the entire NBA, over 24.5 points versus the San Antonio Spurs, -115 odds. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Spurs, they do have DeJounte Murray, and he's going to be guarding SGA. Why do you like this matchup? And here's why. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his last 4 games has been absolutely fantastic. He scored 34, 21, and then in the 21-point game, he shot 36.8%, which is horrible for his standards, and then 33 and 32. So he's cashed this in 3 of his last 4 games, and not only cashed it, but he's dropped 30 in 3 of his last 4 games. And the San Antonio Spurs, as good of a defender as we know DeJounte Murray to be, they give up the 7th most points per game to opposing point guards, which is actually pretty crazy. Not really a stat I was expecting when I was looking up, these statistics, but they're very bad against the point guard position. And in his last 3 versus San Antonio, he has scored 14, which was a rough game. It was earlier this year, which is another reason why I think he's going to have a bounce back against the Spurs this time. But he had 14, 33, and 42 versus the San Antonio Spurs in his last 3 games. And on top of that, as much as Greg Popovich is a defensive-minded coach, they have the 23rd worst defense in the entire NBA, and they play at the 5th fastest pace. So that is going to give SGA even more possessions to be able to shoot the ball. And I don't think there's going to be anybody on this Thunder team besides maybe Josh Giddey that's going to be taking shots away from SGA. So I think he sees a lot of shots against a very poor defense who play at the 5th fastest pace. So that's going to be our third play of the day. SGA over 24.5 points versus the San Antonio Spurs, -115 odds. And our final play of the day is going to be another plus value play. I've been very good on my plus value plays recently, but we have Anthony Simons over 6.5 assists versus Miami Heat, +115 odds. Simons has cashed this in 6 of his last 7 games, so he's been very good at finding the open man in 6 of his last 7 games. Also, CJ McCollum is going to be back. He is a very good scorer. We all know that. So I do think that Simon's running the 1, CJ running the 2. I think that they're going to be able to get some decent shots with that. In their last game versus Miami, because these 2 teams did play like a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago. I can't remember the exact timeline. But he did end up with 7. So he did cash it. It was right on the hook, but he did end up cashing. And in the last 3 games, the Miami Heat, or not the Miami Heat, sorry. The Portland Trailblazers do play at the 5th fastest pace in the last 3 games. So they have been really getting up and down the floor, especially with no Damian Lillard on the floor. They've really been getting up and down, and I do think that we see more of that again today. So that is going to be our final play of the day. Anthony Simons over 6.5 assists versus Miami Heat, plus 115 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We are very, very close, and maybe we can hit that by the end of the week. I think that'd be pretty cool. We're on a very hot streak right now, so hopefully that can continue through tomorrow or through today's slate. So that is going to do it for now. This is King Center signing out. Peace.